Crawford will try to keep on the distance Canelo?
I see Crawford and Canelo having a good fight for the first 4 rounds, but then I see Canelo, slowly commanding the fight and winning.
Why?
Canelo Alvarez's former opponent Shane Mosley has shockingly predicted that Crawford stands no chance against him. While praising both boxers as generational greats, Mosley was firm in his belief that the fight will be Crawford's downfall. He argued that the size, strength, and experience of Canelo will simply be too much for Crawford to handle. Mosley noted that while Crawford is a skilled fighter, his natural instinct to trade punches instead of moving will put him in danger against the much bigger Alvarez. Although Mosley gave no chance to Crawford, women's professional boxer Claressa Shields utterly disrespected Shane Mosley for his demeaning prediction against Crawford. She said that Shane's predictions are always false, and the same was the case when she fought her opponent.
With all due respect to Shane Mosley,
sure.
he just said that Terence Crawford was going to get watched by Canelo. I don't think his word is really worth that much.
Do you think she need a year?
No, she needs till January, February. That's the timeline. She needs 6 to 8 months. She said out of her own mouth that she's in shape. She can come back. She told me that I'm too small for her. I'm not skilled enough.
Meanwhile, another one of Canelo's opponents came in with a solid prediction for the fight. Having witnessed his face drop to the canvas with Canelo's punches, Caleb Plant has made his remarks on the mega fight. Plant gives Crawford a shot, emphasizing that while weight classes exist for a reason, Crawford is a special fighter with exceptional mental fortitude and abilities. He doesn't pick a definitive winner, but expects an action-packed fight, suggesting Crawford's skills could make it competitive despite the size difference.
Terence is not a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? He's special. And, Canelo, he's a top-notch fighter, world-class fighter. Still on the pound-for-pound list, I'm sure towards somewhere near the top. And it's exciting. Terence is freakishly strong. He can punch.
Caleb Plant even went further to bash Canelo's fight with William Skull and said that it was a sad and pathetic performance. He expects a much better performance this time around, especially with Crawford exchanging the blows with Canelo.
Excited to watch this as a fan and just enjoy the night.
Just overall, what's your take on that fight, given how Canelo looked, given your perspective on how you fought Canelo and Terence coming in and trying to take that challenge now?
I think it's going to be a good fight. Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I think there's going to definitely be some back and forth. And a lot more punches thrown than the Skull fight. I kind of honestly was expecting that with the Skull fight.
Yeah. It seems like Canelo's opponents are favoring him far too much after witnessing his power shots in the ring. Jermall Charlo, speaking from his brother Jermell Charlo's experience, is optimistic about Crawford's chances to face the Mexican beast. He believes Crawford will avoid the mistake Jermell made of bulking up too much, which slowed him down. Charlo thinks Crawford's technical approach and ability to stay true to his style, rather than trying to match Canelo's power, will give him a good shot at winning, provided he remains agile and doesn't overcompensate for the weight jump.
He'll tell you himself. He didn't feel like the Jermell Charlo that y'all seen him fight Tony Harrison. Crawford, I feel like that's the same thing as happening. You want to get big to try to absorb Canelo punches and artists, but that's not, technically, that's not the Crawford that we're going to see. And then Crawford going up there to fight Canelo at 68, when he's not a 68-pounder.
After describing the mistake of his brother, Jermall emphasized that Crawford should focus on sharpening his reflexes to avoid damage instead of putting on excessive weight. Just like Jermall Charlo, one man who has faced both Canelo and Crawford in the ring is also optimistic about Terence's chances. Amir Khan believes Crawford has a shot if the fight goes the distance, citing his high boxing IQ, speed, and underrated punching power. However, Khan acknowledges Canelo's superior power and size at 168 pounds, suggesting a knockout would favor Canelo. He leans toward Crawford, winning a decision if he can avoid Canelo's power shots and exploit potential signs of Canelo slowing down.
Crawford could beat him because Crawford is a big 147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight. I think Crawford's a better fighter than Charlo. And he's a smart fighter as well. He switches and everything, so that would be a very good fight.
On the other hand, Shane Mosley wasn't so optimistic about Crawford's chances against Canelo. He mentioned that both fighters will have a really good fight for the first 4 rounds, but then Alvarez will overpower Terence with his power. He added that the accumulation of damage will be too much for Crawford to handle.
I see Crawford and Canelo having a good fight for the first 4 rounds, but then I see Canelo, slowly commanding the fight and winning.
Why?
He's too big.
Apart from Canelo's opponents, one legendary figure has come up with a prediction for the mega fight. Mike Tyson is a huge admirer of Terence Crawford. Tyson appreciates his skills, IQ, and ability to adjust midway through fights. But here's the truly shocking part. Even though Tyson admires Crawford, he doesn't believe Bud will be able to get it done. "I want Crawford to win, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen," Tyson said on the big podcast. "I would like for it to happen." If their showdown was just based purely on talent, Tyson was convinced Crawford would have the edge. However, things aren't as black and white as that. Although Crawford is as good as anyone in the history of the sport, the great big man usually beats the great little man. Mike Tyson continued, "This guy Alvarez is a hard puncher. He's a smart fighter. I want to see it." Adding to the spicy debate on the predictions, Crawford's last opponent also gave his share of warnings to Terence. Israel Madrimov was one of the few who had pushed Crawford to the edge in their grueling 12-round fight. During an interview, Madrimov claimed that Canelo will win because of his size and power, but if the fight goes the distance, then it will be Crawford. He said, "It is a good fight. If 168 pounds, I think it's Canelo, because Canelo has better technique. If 12 rounds, Crawford wins. If knockout, it's Canelo. He has power. He is smart. He has more experience." Adding to this debate, Gabe Rosado had a similar view that Israel Madrimov gave Crawford a lot of trouble at 154 pounds. He mentioned that 168 pounds will be a completely different story, which will be too much for a smaller guy.
But Madrimov did give Crawford problems, you know what I'm saying? And where I felt like, damn, at 54, he gave you problems. 68 is different. You know what I'm saying? So you going up 3 weight classes, because he was 47, 54, 60, 68. That's 3 weight classes. It's a major difference, man.
Gabe Rosado also shared his take on the fight between Crawford and Canelo. His predictions have been well known in the boxing world to be spot on. He heavily favors Canelo in the fight, even though Terence has better skills than the Mexican fighter.
I think I favor Canelo. Not by a lot, but I do favor him. I just think that, you know, I think the Skull fight was just a bad style. And I think Canelo was like, why force the issue? You know what I mean? I'm up. This guy's running. I'm not going to take a chance.
On the contrary, Dimitri Bivol explained how the fight between the 2 world-class fighters will take place and said that Crawford will use his distance to keep Canelo at bay, but failed to provide an exact winner.
Crawford will try to keep on the distance Canelo, and he will try to use his long distance and moving. But what will happen, only God knows.
Among the few who have tasted the power of both Canelo and Crawford, professional boxer Bivol Davis has sparred both fighters, and he gave his fair share of predictions for the fight. He favored Canelo just because of his naturally heavier build and power, but didn't disregard Crawford's ability to play a chess match.
Crawford adjusting to the 168 pound division. I know he's been sitting at a heavier weight for a while, but he's been showing his training and stuff. So that's definitely going to help him. Canelo experience. But then you got Crawford, got great experience as well. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good chess match. I expect a great fight. If I had to favor somebody, I would just pick Canelo because of the weight disparity. Canelo is naturally sits really well at 168.
Canelo Alvarez has tasted defeat only 2 times in his career, once against Floyd Mayweather and the other against Dimitri Bivol. The coach who trained Dimitri to beat Canelo revealed his devastating strategy to beat the Mexican champion. During an interview, coach Joel Diaz described what fighters need to do when they face Alvarez, which could be useful to Crawford on Saturday night. He explained, "You frustrate Canelo, you beat him. You frustrate him first. We started working on it, and one of the main keys was to keep jabbing him. Keep jabbing him. Don't stop jabbing. Canelo always tries to hit you in the arm to wear you down. And if you watch the fight, I had a bag of ice all the time on his arm for the whole fight." So who do you think will win in the fight between Crawford and Canelo? Comment your answer down below and subscribe for more content like this.